with the word Leicester, or you can tweet me at BBC Leicester. I'm going to be here with you all the way till 10 p.m. tonight. Now, if you're a regular listener to The Vibe, you will know that each and every Wednesday we love to bring in some talent, some local talent doing some dope things. And today's guest is no different. She's a 27-year-old rock, funk and soul singer from North Carolina in the US, but has actually been living here in Leicester for the past 13 years. Her sound is one that you could describe as like funk, soul, a pop kind of vibe. It's super cool, but it's actually music that she defines as sounds for risk takers, lovers and dreamers. She won Macy Gray's 2019 Sugar Daddy Freestyle competition and is here with me now. A very good evening to you, Lydia. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Very, very well, thank you. Now, Lydia, aka Lydia Lutudi, I feel like we go way back to quite a few years ago, but
Yes.
you have been doing some phenomenal things. I mean, even like over the last 9 years, you've been developing your sound, your image, your identity.
Yes.
I mean, talk me through what the last 9, almost 10 years have been like.
Wow. For one, it's flown by. And it's just been definitely a process that I think not a lot of artists have the liberty to do today. And with social media, there's so much pressure to rush, get stuff out. You know, you need to put a single out. And I definitely felt the pressure. But I just knew like my soul wasn't ready. But now I feel so ready, you know, like the best way I can describe it is if you have a pair of shoes and you know the ones that are too tight. And you're like, I want to take them off. And then you have those shoes, you're like, oh, I feel comfortable. Like I'm wearing my comfortable shoes because I broke them in. And that's how I can describe the past 9 years. Yeah.
I get that. I can feel that.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm thinking about a pair of boots that I've always really liked and it's never quite been able to wear them yet. So I get that. But talk me through that pressure to deliver music, because I feel like as artists, especially up and coming artists, I mean, we're not really even getting albums these days. A lot of people are churning out track after track and after track, and it's almost like you're only ever as good as the last thing that you've done. And so there is that pressure there. But how did you manage to kind of separate yourself from that?
For one, I developed my confidence, my self-esteem, because I did go through what everybody goes through. I compared myself, and especially when you're an independent artist. First of all, finances. There's money. Money is real, okay? It took me time. Like probably half of those 9 years was getting the money to do it, because I applied for a lot of funding. Still haven't been successful so far, because my ideas sounded, you know, it's always hard to explain your vision, because I had so much vision, but even I couldn't understand what is it that I'm trying to create. So I saved up and, you know, put it out, and I'm really glad that people are starting to understand, because sometimes words can fail you. So with that pressure, you really have to be confident in who you are. And I think it's important to say, though, it's not like I'm like 100% there. I'm still like, oh my God, are people gonna like it? But I'm just confident in the moment, and I did it. Okay, now, you know, deal with it.
I think there's something about you, Lydia. I'm not sure if I've ever said this to you, but there's something about you that I really admire, and it is that sense of confidence and identity. So I remember coming to Leicester, like this is like almost 15 years ago now, and in those early days, seeing you out in town, singing,
oh my God,
busking, doing your thing, and I think one thing that really stood out to me was that you didn't fit the box of your average black girl.
Right.
That average black girl that is like, I don't know, I hope you know what I mean when I say that, right? Even in terms of more so I'm talking about your music. So your music is that rock, funk, you know, kind of really out there, flamboyant, just not holding back. It's not cute, sexy, and like not say, girl, you are fine.
Oh, well, thank you, child.
But you know, your sound is of a very different ilk, and you seem to have from my perspective, actually owned that identity from a very long time. For you, would you say that you have been quite sure of who you are as an artist, or has the last 9 years been a process of you evolving into who you are today?
Yeah, first of all, thank you. I really appreciate that. For me, I can't say I've always been sure. I always felt different. And I guess part of that is coming from North Carolina and then moving, we lived in Africa for a bit. So that's when I discovered people were so in tune with themselves. And, going to school there, they made you braid your hair. And so I was like, I was coming from North Carolina. All the girls had their edges laid, relaxers, things like that. So it was a huge culture shock for me. Then coming to the UK is where I found rock and roll. And that's what set me free as a Black person. Because I went through a traumatic experience that made me feel like I wasn't free for a very long time. And I went to a Black History Month talk. It was at the Afro-Caribbean Center. And the speaker explained how just about every genre today came from Black artists who were going through a rough time, and it was their way of freedom. So that's where I found my identity, like I found my tribe, so to speak. So I researched every artist I could think of, even artists that I loved, like Rolling Stones, for example, who, when you say rock and roll, you think of them. But they were inspired by like the Little Richards and the Chuck Berrys. And I was like, okay, so that's me, So that's what helped me, identify with myself. And also being sure, I have to give credit to my parents for sure, because my parents are both, I'd say, like Black sheep on both sides of their families, and seeing how they came together. And that was a great example for me, and how they owned being who they are. And I always make myself feel uncomfortable, so I'd always wear weird things and just deal with it. So yeah, I like a bit of crazy as well.
You said you lived in Africa. That was Ghana, right?
Yes.
You were in Ghana for, was it about 12 years?
2 years.
So where did I get 12 from? 2 years. What was that period of your life like?
That was so interesting. I probably got a really good foundation of appreciating good food, like the fruit there.
Yes.
The pineapples, the oranges, you can taste, like you feel like your tongue's activated there. So the food, and there's always music going on, or people are praying at 2 a.m. in the morning. The electricity goes off and you have to find a way, to light a candle. And I don't know, life just felt so exciting, even though it was inconvenient at times for the first world, child. But it was just a beautiful experience. I mean, we also went through some crazy stuff, like being robbed at gunpoint, because you stand out when you're not from there. But that's just life, because also I'm an artist, so you see the beauty in it. Like, he had to eat, so he just put out this gun and just wanted money. So I don't know, there's just so many interesting things I took away from Ghana, and music and food and culture and just pride.
I think that journey which you've spoken of going from the US to Ghana to now being here in Leicester, has very clearly fed into who you are as an individual, but also who you are as an artist. Do you think many artists here in the UK have that same texture and depth and versatility to them?
I can't say as much as they used to. From observation, like, I love documentaries, so I've watched quite a few about the culture, because like Nina Simone says, like, the artist is supposed to reflect the times, and I feel like the music today reflects what we're in. Like, we're in a pretty synthetic generation, and it's not always our fault, but that's why I take the role of being an artist quite seriously, where, for instance, in this song, I felt like we're huge on escapism. The cinema's always going to be packed out. Concerts are always going to be packed out. And we have ways to kind of hide and walk around our emotions. So you've got dating apps to avoid actually walking up to a person and approaching them. There's always a way to kind of escape being human. And I kind of want to go back to just, being raw with what we want to do, who we want to be. And again, I appreciate my parents taking that leap to say, let's just move to Africa. I mean, it wasn't perfect. We went through a lot while we were there. And then even moving here, we went through a lot to settle in. But at least they did it. You know, even though there were some mistakes, there were some failures, they did it. And now that I'm an adult, you know, I don't want to be comfortable because I feel life wasn't designed for us to be that way. So that's why I'm like in the song, shoot your shot, you know. It's scary though, I ain't gonna lie. But yeah.
But you've done so confidently. I mean, you speak really fondly of your parents.
Yes.
I know you lost your father some time ago.
Yes.
What did he feel towards you as an artist and just embracing all that you are as a woman as well?
Yeah, my dad was awesome. Like, he, first of all, always made me feel like I could be whoever I wanted to be. He was entrepreneurial and did very well, coming from Congo, moving to the States with nothing, and built a great life for himself. And yeah, I don't know, my dad, what I appreciate about both of my parents was the transparency they had. Even if, you know, financially it was a rough time, they just sit us down and talk about it. It wasn't a case of, you know, pretending. And my dad also just, you know, Congolese, I don't know if you know much about Congolese people, we're mad, right? So, you know, he wasn't the typical crocodile shoe wearing big belt guy, but he did have his belts. So my dad was just always, you know, comfortable to be himself. And
did he have the waist? Did he have the waist movement?
Of course. Of course. I'm glad I inherited that. But
yeah, girl, you could move.
Well, you know, girl. I love to dance. But it took me time to get to that point to be comfortable to do it. But yeah, my dad he used to be like, oh, I don't really care for music. And then I kind of introduced him into, you know, Dad, check this out. And then I remember my first kind of demo. He was like, Lee, that has potential, you know, that could be number one. So I'm really glad he didn't get to see this part in this stage. But, you know, I'm always seeking his validation, but I'm grateful my friends and family remind me he would be proud. So
absolutely.
That's my biggest hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Lydia, we're about to press play on your song for the first time. Never been aired here before on BBC Radio Leicester, and it is such a pleasure to have you in the studio. So without further ado, please would you intro for us your latest track?
All right, guys, so this is my debut single. It's called As Long As I See You.
I say riding on the freeway just to get closer to you. So I take a step, a leap of faith, pack my bags, no time to waste. Say life's too short to get. I said do 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 do. I see you. Da 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 da. Oh, so close to my destination. My mind filled with much frustration. Take a breath, just breathe. Breathe. $1 billion. Crystal polish, fancy things, diamond rings. Don't beat me wanting to see you. You. Do 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 do. I wanna see you. I said do 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 do. I see you. I ran out of patience, honey. Say nothing can keep you
record. It is Lydia Lutudi with her brand new single, As Long As I See You. Make sure you check her out. I mean, you heard her just there. She is absolutely sensational. Connect with her online. It is at Lydia, that's Lydia, and her surname Lutudi, Lutudi, all one word, on Instagram and everywhere else. You can also stream her music as well. And of course, you know that we love to do this each and every single Wednesday, so make sure you tune in to get your latest tracks coming through from Leicester. But of course, if you are an artist here as well and you want to get in touch and have your music played, get in touch with me at aminata.kamara@bbc.co.uk. Now make sure you keep it right here with us on Radio Leicester as we go into another hour of really meaty conversations. The passing